everybody. Welcome, whether you're watching this live or whether you will be on a recording. My name is Jody Gravely. This is my husband, Dr. Stan, and we have known Christina. I was thinking Christina is probably 19 years because Chloe is 19.
Yes, that's right.
Little baby,
Oh boy.
So we have known
Yikes.
Christina for almost 20 years, and she has a big birthday coming up this week. And I won't tell you which
30.
one it is.
30.
Yeah, 30. We've known her almost 20 years. But anyway, ever since we have known Christina, we have thought of her as another daughter or one of our children, and just, been close all these years, even though not in proximity, but in heart. And I reached out to her a few months ago because I knew she was having issues with her plantar fasciitis, and I know how much she loves to work out. And so I reached out to tell her about something that Dr. Stan and I had found about a year and a half ago. So I had heard about this biotech product a few times. We both had, and never really paid it any attention because we're just really into diet and nutrition and exercise, and we just felt like you can change anything with that. And so we didn't pay it much attention. And then a friend of mine named Alicia Waters, should have said that, Alicia Jones. She was talking to me one day, and Alicia, we have been with her on a cancer journey since 2014. She has non-Hodgkin's follicular lymphoma, for which there is no cure. And so she reached out to me, and we were just catching up. We hadn't talked in a while. And she started telling me that she had tried this little patch thing, which kind of looks like this. And she said, "Have you heard about it?" And I said, "I've heard about it, but I haven't tried it." And she said, "Jody," she said, "I patched for 43 days, and it was with the stem cell activation patch, which Dr. Stan will tell you about in just a minute, Eon patch for inflammation, and glutathione to build your immune system." And 43 days later, she went for a CT scan, and she had had cancer 7 years at that time. And her oncologist called her 2 days later and said, "What are you doing? This is the best CT scan you have had in 7 years." And that got my attention. Dr. Stan and I are very health conscious. We eat well, we exercise, and, we believe in good nutrition. But I had carpal tunnel because of a job that I do, and I couldn't sleep at night. Dr. Stan had high blood pressure for about 5 years, even though he had gotten his cholesterol and triglycerides, everything else under control. His blood pressure never came down, and he wouldn't go on medication because we're kind of crazy like that. And we decided to try it. What did we have to lose? So we started patching X39, which is the stem cell activation patch, and the Eon for inflammation. And then about a week later, he added the X49, which is another stem cell activation patch, which is really good for people that work out or have heart issues or osteoporosis. And he added glutathione. And then 3 weeks later, my carpal tunnel was probably 75% better. And now, a year and a half later, I have no problems with it, and I needed surgery. And his blood pressure was down 30 points in 3 weeks, and now it's down to normal. So, that got our attention. Being in the health and wellness industry for 30 years, we were like, all of our health and nutrition and exercise hadn't brought those things into homeostasis. And so, that got our attention, and we're like, holy cow, this is just something we needed to know about. How did we not know about this? So I'm going to let Dr. Stan tell you just quickly how this little stem cell activation patch works and how the other patches work.
Well, it's used a system called photobiomodulation. It's a form of photomodulation, which is basically using light therapy in order to make biological changes in the body, kind of like a lot of people today have heard about infrared light. They go to the doctors and people are using it for all kinds of different treatments. But our founder, David Smith, had been working with the United States Navy, particularly the Navy SEALs. And long story short, they were looking for a way to enhance the energy of the Navy SEALs without having to use drugs or caffeine or other things, that stimulate, and they were looking for something more natural. And David had actually been working on this technology, and he said, well, give me some time. And he developed the first patching system. And the patch is looks like a Band-Aid. If you look here, it goes on your body like a Band-Aid. But on the inside, there's this crystal lattice, and it's just made up of simple amino acids, sugars, water, and basically it forms a crystal that reflects your own natural far infrared light heat energy back into the body. It's like at night, you can't see anyone in the dark, but if you put on night vision goggles, what would you see? You would see that heat emanating from people's bodies, and you can see in the dark by seeing that energy lit up, with the people. And so what David was able to do was learn how to turn the light energy that is being emanated from your body, reflect it back into the body, and trigger certain biological functions. Just like when the sunlight, which is also infrared light, hits the body, it triggers vitamin D production. It enhances other biological functions in the body. And so what the patch does is uses your own natural infrared light heat energy, reflect it back into the body to trigger certain biological functions. In the case of X39, it is stimulating a copper peptide, which is, if you Google copper peptide, you will find that it's the holy grail of anti-aging. And basically what it does is it triggers the stem cells in your body to wake up and start replicating. Unfortunately, by the time we're 30, most of our stem cell production is right around 50%, give or take, depending on our lifestyle. Unfortunately, by the time we're 60, 65, we're almost at zero, maybe 30 to 0%. Then by the time you're 70, you're at zero, which is why when we're young, we can recuperate faster. We fall down. We are able to, have more energy. But then by the time, you start getting to that 30 mark and, ask the athletes, it's kind of interesting, athletes, by the time they get to be 30 or 35, you start hearing about they're getting old for their sport, because look at LeBron James, he's around 40. He can't play but 2 quarters now. He can't play 4 quarters. He gets injured more, and it takes him longer to recover. And he's only around 40 years old, but that's what happens, in sports. But that's the way it happens in life. And if those stem cells are not reproducing, then you're aging. And things begin to break down. You start getting inflammation in the body. Systems start getting old and wore out. And then the next thing you know, you are having health problems, health challenges of all types. So what happens with this crazy patch is that when we start telling the body to start building stem cells again, now the body is able to build new cells, replicate new cells, rejuvenate, heal, and restore the body, where you can actually slow the aging process down or even reverse the aging process. And then, of course, we have support patches, as Jody alluded to, that are anti-inflammatory, that increases your antioxidant activity in the body, organ functions, and everything else in the body that will support the stem cell activity. But if have heard anything in the news lately, we know stem cell therapy is where it's at. They know that this is the future of medicine, that when you can start making your body reproduce stem cells, then your body's going to start acting youthful again. And so that, it doesn't matter what age you are, you always want to be doing something that's going to enhance your stem cell production. Of course, lifestyle will affect that. But with this, it's a non-transdermal patch. Nothing goes into the body. It cannot interfere with medications. It cannot interfere with anything that you're doing with the doctor. because nothing, chemical, vitamins, minerals, herbs, nothing is going into the body. All it's doing is reflecting your own infrared light, heat, energy back into the body, and it triggers a frequency in the body to trigger these biological functions, just like the sun triggers vitamin D production. So that's kind of a little simple way. We could deep dive a little bit, but that's the reason why our X39 is our flagship product, is because it is the anti-aging, reverse aging, preserving your health and longevity by promoting stem cell activity in the body, which diminishes as we age. And all sickness and disease ultimately is an aging disease. We basically start getting old, wore out, and the next thing you know, things start breaking down just like they would in a car.
Yep, absolutely. One thing I will note, and then I want to ask Christina a couple questions, is in all these products are patented, and they all have clinical double-blind research studies. But one of the studies they did with the X39 was that they patched 15 people over the age of 60, because we generally don't have many stem cells. Dr. Stan and I are both 65. And you know, they did that on purpose, and they took their blood work, their biomarkers, their urinalysis, all of that before they patched them, and they gave them a, oh gosh, a cellular age, I'll say. Like these tests say this is how old you are. You know, you might be 60, but these tests say you're 72, you know, whatever. And so they had them patch every day with X39 for 6 months. And they came back after 6 months. They did the same test again, all the biomarkers, blood work, all that. And they gave them a new cellular age. And 14 out of the 15 people had reversed their cellular age by 8 years.
Wow.
That is huge. That
That's
is
super cool.
huge, guys. And we can show you our before and after pictures over the past year, and you can see it on the outside. When things start changing on the inside and you start getting younger, it shows up on the outside. So, you know, that's something we can send Christina and she can send you. But it is just remarkable. I will say that about 4 months in, I heard a testimony of a doctor, Dr. Harmon, that we're friends with, and he had a remarkable reversal of a it's called a right branch bundle in his heart that his doctor said was going to shorten his life. And after about a year patching with the X39, it was gone, and his cardiologist was blown away. And he also had an AFib. So when I heard that, I started thinking, oh my gosh, I had AFib. I had an irregular heartbeat for about 10 years, and I had been patching about 4 months, and I hadn't even thought about it, but it was gone after 4 months.
No way.
And then I guess I had been patching about 10 months, and we had moved, and Stan was using the massage gun, you know, because we had really overworked ourselves in a move. We had moved state to state. And I just looked at him and I went, oh my gosh. Do you realize I used to use that massage gun every night after work, and I had not used it in 8 months. And sometimes when pain goes away, you don't even think about it. But I had chronic neck and back pain. And this was like 6 or 8 months later, I realized I was pain free. I mean, I know that sounds silly, but you just don't think about it when it's gone. But I know, Christina, you've had success with your plantar fasciitis.
Yes, that
So
happened pretty quickly.
Yeah, what was your chronology, or whatever you would say, your timeline for
Your
that?
experience.
Yeah.
So I had plantar for probably close to a year, if not a full year. And the workout that I do, it's like a boot camp style. So it's pretty rough on my feet. There's some running, not super long distance. There's jumping. It's just pretty brutal on my feet. And I bought the boot, you know, like I was told to do. I did the stretches sort of ish. I did them some, and it was just nothing was helping. And so after this was all explained to me and I listened to the testimonials, I was like, well, I really don't have anything to lose. I'm going to give it the 2 months and see what happens. And I believe my first patch was April 17th. And I have this on my little diary thing, on April 21st, 4 days later, I woke up and had less than normal pain with my first step. And anybody with plantar fasciitis knows the first step in the morning is the worst. Be hobbling to the bathroom, you know, it would get a little bit better as I would move around, but those first steps were terrible. And now I am, and at that point I was modifying so many exercises during the workout that it was just so frustrating and demotivating, you know, so that was rough. And now I'm not modifying anything. And the pain
Awesome.
is minimal to not there. If we had a super brutal workout the day before, like let's say a lot of jump roping and running, I will note, at least at this point, I will notice something in the morning and then it's nothing. And then it just goes away, which is huge. And when I say notice something, I just mean I notice it. It's not super painful. It's just like I noticed it. And then it goes away. And then the other things that have been really cool was I was having some hip pain where when I'd be at church, I could, you know, by time the music was over, trying to sit down would be very painful. When I would stretch at night and, you know, you're sitting on the floor and you're like, your legs are open and you kind of do the stretch, you know, like this and this, I could barely even crunch down on I could barely do this stretch on my left side because it hurt so bad. And now I can do it with no problem at all. Like I don't even notice it, which is crazy. It's so crazy.
It is. Yeah, it
So
is.
crazy.
And I mean, you know, Christina's so young compared to us, you know, but that's the age, you know, in your 30s is when you really start to feel the decline of stem cells,
Yeah.
even though you don't know that's what it is.
No, I know for
That's when
sure
you
not.
start to feel it. And I will just throw in this little tidbit and then we'll let you guys go because we don't want this to be long. But just recently, I've got 3 testimonies of friends who have children with special needs from the ages of 4 to 23. We're talking about autism, we're talking about Down syndrome, and the changes they have seen in their children in just a matter of days and weeks has just been phenomenal with the X39. So
That's
you know,
crazy.
it just doesn't matter which age, like we all need stem cell production. And with the lifestyle and just all the toxins that we come in contact with and, you know, vaccinations and just so many things, you know, it happens at an early age, you know, that children can start to decline in their stem cells and how this can really help them. So anyway, just want to kind of throw that in there.
That's amazing.
But
It
anybody
is.
know with aches and pains, autoimmune disease, we've seen amazing improvements with people with autoimmune disease. I mean, we're not here to diagnose or treat any kind of disease. We're not your doctor. But we have seen amazing reversals of just almost anything you can think of. So hope you get back with Christina and just let her know what's going on and we can hook you up with wholesale pricing. There's no commitment for a monthly, you know, subscription, but we hope that you'll give it at least 3 to 6 months because healing takes time. I mean, Christina got results really quickly, but some other people, you know, it's 3 or 4 months before they see significant results depending on their age.
Just all everybody's different. Everybody's different. Some people it's just a process, and we always tell people, you know, it doesn't matter what age you are. If you're 30 years old or 60 years old, you didn't get in the shape you were overnight, so you
That's
can't
true.
expect a miracle overnight either, and you have to be patient with the process. But we have the clinical studies to prove that what we're saying is true. They would meet. We're not an FDA approved product, but all of our testings would meet FDA standards. There again over 70 clinical studies that prove that what we're telling you is the truth, but even more so, we can give you testimony after testimony if you're interested.
And, you know, the main reason that we're not FDA approved is because we're not a medicine. You know,
None of them are. None of the supplements.
we are
No.
we are FDA category 1 approved, like Band-Aids and over-the-counter products. But we're not a medicine, so we don't need to be FDA approved.
No.
So, you know, there's that. But anyway, hope you guys will get back with Christina and, you know, give this a shot, you know, give it 90 days. You don't have anything to lose. Stem cell treatments are from $10,000 to $25,000. And this retails for $150 a month. And Christina can hook you up for $99 a month, her wholesale pricing, which is just phenomenal for what it does. I will say the last thing, our friend, Dr. Stacy, that we work closely with, she went to Mexico 3 times and got stem cell treatments for her handicapped daughter, Taylor, spent $25,000 per injection. And these patches did more for her daughter in 2 weeks than those $25,000 injections. So
Yeah.
it's pretty powerful. Dr. Stanley
No way.
have never been more excited about anything we've had our hands on in the past 30
Wow.
years. So hope you guys
Wow.
give it a chance.